Okay, sometimes you'll want to be able to just get the volume of the bounding box for a particular item or items and report them to an Excel table. So one way to do that is to take a look at the bbox functions, and there's one called bbox vol under the table model command. And what it needs is it's got several options. You can just take the active model, or you can specify a wildcard for a model, or actually reference a table. And if you're referencing a table, you can actually have an iterable reference for item name, and it'll even accept wildcards. So the scaling factor is basically, if you're dealing with different units and you want to scale those units to automatically calculate what that should be, for example, from cubic inches to cubic millimeters or vice versa, you can do that. And then it's going to write out a result table, and this is kind of what it's expecting. Now we're going to use NitroCell to create that table for us so that we don't have to manually type all that stuff in. And we're going to call this vol vals, and we're going to write that to wow tab. And my vol vals table is going to be where this writes off. So if I just run this as it is, we should get our active assembly and its current volume. And it's also reporting the scaling factor that was used, which is 1. It's whatever the units are for that is what that is. So if you're curious as to what the units are, you could also run another function to extract the units for the current model that's there. But I'm just going to write out the volumes, assuming we know what we're doing. So if we put in a value of 10, for example, for the scaling factor, this number should go up significantly. So if we run this, we'll take a look here. And sure enough, it went up significantly. So I'm going to take that back down to a scale of 1. And if we wanted to, let's say, report back all of the part files and what their volumes are, you can do that just with one line and get a nice report of all of the components that are in memory and their respective volumes based on their units that they currently are. Another nice thing you can do is you can also reference a table. So I'm going to just insert a few columns here, and we're going to create a new table called my table, but it's going to have a column iterator called my name. And let's just grab a few of these parts from here and drop those in. So I'm going to highlight this, highlight that region, do Control T, tell it has a header there. Our first column does have, or the first row in there is a table header. And then we're going to type in my table as the reference for that particular table. And this is going to be the table we're going to be writing to. And if we look at that, it's called vol vals. So I'm going to feed this now with my table as the reference, and it's going to read the content based on item name and write that out to that table. So if we click the do it button, you'll notice here that we should get the same number of records here, and as you can see, it's in the same one. So that's basically how you use this. If you want to get really fancy, we could say, I really want, let's do PLA. Let's say .prt, and then let's remove these record or these rows from the table, and let's do a wildcard example with a table reference, which is probably the most complex you could ever do. But as you can see, it still works just the same.